Hello again, Big Reds. This is Mr. Fischel talking again. Now, we're on to part 2 of what I need to know for the Unit 1 test because I want you guys all to get 100%. That would be great. Remember, this is the big part of your grade, very big part of your grade. So, now you need to know a lot about midpoint and distance that we did on the last video. There will be several questions on that. But now I'm going to be talking about types of angles that you need to know. So first of all, I have something that looks like this. Then I'm going to draw in two parallel lines. All right, I'm going to put little marks on the end here. We're going to call this line L, and this is M. Okay, now, these are parallel lines. This is what's called a transversal, remember. So, if I have these type of angles right here, I need to know what they're called. And since they are on the outside, they're both on the outside and in alternate positions, these are called alternate exterior angles. So you need to know that. That's definitely got to need to know that for tomorrow's test. Or I'm sorry, not tomorrow's test. Test in 2 days. All right, next. I'm going to draw another couple parallel lines right down here, down on the page. So please draw these with me. Okay. Draw my parallel lines, and we're going to assume that they're parallel. Remember, if they're not parallel, these properties don't happen. So it'll be parallel lines. So I'm going to call this M and N, and I'm going to call this line P. I'm going to number these 1, 2. I'm number 3, 4. Mix it up on you here. 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. So first of all, you're going to have to listen because I am going to tell you some stuff, and if you're not listening, you won't get it. All right. So angles 6 and 2. 6 and 2 are corresponding angles. Okay? 6 and 2 are corresponding angles. Okay. 5 and 3 are alternate interior angles because they're inside the parallel lines in alternate spots. 4 and 6 are also alternate interior angles. They're inside the parallel lines, alternate spots. Okay. 4 and 5. 4 and 5 are both also inside the parallel lines, but they are in consecutive positions. So those are consecutive interior angles. So I'm just going to recap. Consecutive interior angles. 4 and 6, alternate interior angles. 5 and 3, alternate interior angles. And 6 and 2 are corresponding. Okay, let's try another problem with types of angles. Okay, so let's get another sheet of paper out. And let's draw a couple parallel lines again. And we'll just say they're parallel. I'm going to put a little arrow in there to mark them parallel, and I'm going to draw a transversal. And let's say that this is this angle is x degrees. And this angle down here is 75 degrees. And let's assume that these lines are parallel. So I need to know what x is. Well, x is not the same, not congruent to the 75. So they're actually supplementary. That means they add up to 180. So to figure out angle x, what I have to do is take 180 degrees minus 75 degrees, which would give me 105 degrees. So the measure of angle x would be 105 degrees. Good. All right, so next thing you need to know is what angles like this would be called. So we'll call this 1, and this will be 3. These angles right here are called vertical angles. Because they're called vertical angles because you can jump across the intersection. That's why they're called vertical angles. That's, again, all this stuff is on the test. Okay, now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw for you a linear pair. Okay, and this is a linear pair of angles, which means they add up to 180 degrees. But let's say I have an expression like this. And I say this is 4x plus 6 degrees. And this is, let's say, 3x minus 2 degrees. And let's say I want to solve for what x is. Well, here's how you do it. Add these two together. 4x plus 6 plus 3x minus 2 equals 180. Then I got to combine like terms. Since they're on the same side of the equal sign, take my 4x and 3x, which gives me 7x, add my 6 and my negative 2, which would give me plus 4 equals 180. Then I subtract 4 from each side. I'm left with 7x equals 176. And then divide by 7. And I get x is approximately equal to, because I believe it's going to be a decimal, 17 divided by 7 is going to be 20. Let's see. 25.2. We'll call it about 25.2. If I'm wrong, there's a donut point in there for you. I did that kind of in my head. Okay, now let's say I want to figure out. No, we'll stop right there. Okay. Now, let's say I want to figure out what this angle is, the smaller of the two angles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 25.2 and I'm going to plug it in place of this x here. So it becomes 3 times 25.2 minus 2. Make sure when you solve this, you plug it back in. So I take 3 times 25.2, and that's going to give me 75.6 minus 2. So the smaller angle measure is going to be 73.6 degrees. Make sure after you solve for x here, plug it back in. Very, very important. And that concludes part 2 of the review video.